I was in the kitchen making tea when my daughter came rushing in.
Mom!
She ran through the back door so fast she almost tripped up the step.
Mom! I saw a zombie.
I poured boiling water from the kettle into a mug, hardly looking up. Oh, you did, Rosie?
Yeah, I did. Its face was all pale and messed up. It was gross, Mom.
I sighed. I really had to be more careful about what I watched on the TV in the evening. Rosie had a habit of sneaking downstairs in the night, and last week she caught me watching The Walking Dead. Of all things. She's had zombies on the brain ever since. I keep telling her they're not real, but it doesn't seem to make a difference. Rosie, what did we say about zombies? I shook my head. You know, if you keep talking about them, Mommy's gotta get really upset.
Yeah, but I saw one.
But I already checked the back garden twice yesterday, and I can promise you, it's a zombie-free zone.
No, not in the back garden.
Huh?
I didn't see it in the back garden.
I turned to look at Rosie. Her fur was windswept and her little cheeks were red, as if she'd been running. Rosie, I put on my best stern, Mom's not happy voice. I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to be honest with me. Have you been playing along the path out back again? I didn't really need to ask the question, because I already knew the answer. Rosie is allowed to play in the garden on her own, and sometimes, if she asks for permission first, we'll let her ride a skateboard along the path at the back of her house. The one that runs past all the neighbors' back gardens. But that's all we allow her to do. This area is pretty safe, but these days you can never be too careful. There's been some burglaries these past months, and last month a little boy even went missing. It made national news for a couple days until the search fizzled out, and it made a lot of parents more cautious. Rosie's getting older now, and she's an adventurous girl. But still, you have to have boundaries. And on a few occasions lately, Rosie has been crossing these boundaries. Riding her board further than she should, not coming in straight away when we call her, sneaking out of the back gate when she's only meant to be playing in the garden. As I watch Rosie now, I noticed her face growing redder. She looked away from me, down at the kitchen floor, and scuffed her paws.
Mom, I only went a little way down,
she said.
I promise. I was chatting to Mr. Henderson because I saw him in his back garden. He was raking leaves.
I sighed. So there he was. Mr. Henderson was Rosie's zombie. Yesterday was the postman, and the day before that it was a different neighbor. I took a sip of tea and shook my head. Mr. Henderson was, in fairness, a better candidate than the others. The guy lives on his own, and he looks about 100 years old. But whenever we have chatted over the garden fence before, he have always seemed nice enough. Just a bit lonely. I couldn't have Rosie going around calling him a zombie. Listen to me, sweetie. I know you didn't go far or anything, but I don't want you to go around.
I wasn't there for long, Mom.
Rosie interrupted. She was staring up at me now, green eyes large and pleading.
I promise. And I even said no when Mr. Henderson offered me an ice cream, because I know you don't like me taking stuff from strangers.
I opened my mouth to respond, then paused. He offered you ice cream?
Yeah, but I said no. Mr. Henderson really wanted me to come in and have one. But I told him I had to get home, and then I came straight back here to tell you I'd seen a zombie, and I really
Rosie was babbling now, but I'd stopped listening. My mind was still stuck on something she'd said a moment before.
Mr. Henderson really wanted me to come in and have one.
I took another sip of tea and frowned. That wasn't good. I didn't mind the neighbors chatting with Rosie, but I didn't like the thought of them inviting her in. Not when she was by herself. Not even if they were just kind, lonely old men. I made up my mind to go around and visit Mr. Henderson later and to tell him that myself. Kindly, of course, but firmly. In the end, though, I didn't get a chance, because a few moments after I had the thought, Rosie said something else. Something that pushed everything else from my mind.
Mom, please don't stop me from playing in the garden. I promise I won't sneak out again. I don't want the zombie to get me.
Rosie, I'm not going to stop you from playing in the garden, but you have to make me a couple of promises, okay? You need to stop going around and calling people zombies. Mr. Henderson may be a bit old, but that does not make him a zombie. Rosie frowned.
I didn't say he was a zombie.
That's exactly what you said.
No, I didn't. Mr. Henderson's not a zombie. The zombie was in his garden.
I had the mug raised to my mouth to take another sip of tea, but now I put it down again. What do you mean, honey? You saw someone else in his garden?
Yeah, the zombie. I could see it in the back of his garden while I was talking to Mr. Henderson. It was laying in the leaf pile. It seemed to be all bashed up and bloody, and it was really scary. But do you know what confused me the most, Mom?
I tried to keep my voice steady. No?
Well, I didn't realize kids could be zombies too. I thought it was only grown-ups. But I guess I must have been wrong, 'cause the one in Mr. Henderson's leaf pile looked just like a little boy.